Hello, my name is Judy. Welcome to the Liberated Multitasker. I've been wanting to find a recipe that uses vanilla sugar. Recently, I've made my own homemade vanilla sugar, so I've been wanting to use those in a recipe. So this is a new recipe and the first time that I'm going to be using vanilla sugar. So why don't you come join me? We're going to start off by preheating our oven to 350 degrees. I've already lined my baking sheet with parchment paper. I've put my paddle attachment on my electric mixer, and so now we're going to cream together the butter and the sugar. The recipe calls for 225 grams of unsalted butter. This is salted, so what I will do is decrease the sugar required in the recipe, and this ends up being 2 sticks of butter. If you don't have a scale, I'm using 2 sticks. Now our recipe also calls for 300 grams of granulated sugar. So this is 300 grams, it's about 1.5 cups of sugar, and instead of regular granulated sugar, I'm going to use vanilla sugar. I made some vanilla sugar several months ago, and really it is quite simple. I just used about 3 cups of sugar and 5 vanilla beans that I slit open down the middle, and then I put it in an airtight container, and then I mix it ever so often. So now 300 grams of vanilla sugar, or 1.5 cups. I wish you could smell this. It does, you can already smell the vanilla. So we're going to mix this up until it's light and fluffy. I am so glad that I tried this recipe, and I will be using vanilla sugar in my recipes more often, simply to take some of the old faithful recipes I have to the very next level. Now I'm going to add 1 room temperature egg, and you either want to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla paste, which I do not have, or 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now, I have my own homemade vanilla extract. I mixed this up February 17th, 2022, and it smells so good, much better than anything you buy in the store, and super easy to make. Now I'm going to cream this together. While this is mixing, I've got 320 grams of all-purpose sifted flour, and this is about 2.5 cups of sifted flour. I'm going to add to my flour 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And I'm only going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. The recipe calls for 1 teaspoon. However, I use salted butter, so I'm going to cut that in half. I'm just going to mix this up so it's well incorporated when I add it to this mixture. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of this flour as we go. I'm just going to continue to add this flour until it's well incorporated into the batter, and then it will be time for us to scoop it out onto our cookie sheets. This ends up being a pretty quick process. So the first thing we're going to need to do is scoop out our cookies. I'm going to just use a regular scoop. This is a 2 tablespoon scoop. And then we're going to roll them in some sugar. But instead of using sugar, I want to use vanilla sugar. I'm just going to scoop this out in this tablespoon to make sure I don't get large chunks of vanilla in this sugar, and I can add some more as we need it. Now since I don't have vanilla paste, I think using the vanilla sugar and the vanilla extract is going to more than make up for it. So now my hands are clean. I'm going to scoop this out in my hand, roll it, and then I'm going to roll it in the sugar. I cannot wait to try these. And then I'm going to place them on my cookie sheet. The vanilla sugar and the vanilla extract is so much cheaper to make, and the flavor is so much stronger as well. Now this recipe is supposed to make 22 cookies. So with the spacing that I'm doing now, it looks like I will need my other sheet pan. I have really enjoyed these sheet pans. I will link that recipe below. I'll include what my measurements were when I weighed out the ingredients. Now, if for some reason you have trouble with your sheet laying flat, sometimes I'll wide it up and lay it back out, and that helps. But this one seems to be laying down fairly well, so I'll just continue on without that. I changed my oven from regular bake to convection bake since I've got 2 pans, so I reset the oven. My husband may be mad at me. We're both supposed to be on a diet, but it has finally cooled off enough. The highs today is in the 80s, and so I finally feel like getting in the kitchen and doing some cooking. I'm going to put these in the oven to bake for 11 to 12 minutes. I'll try to rotate them halfway through so they can get brown equally on the bottom. All right. Now I'm going to seal this back up. If there's any sugar on the lid or the jar, now it's not going to seal. I have figured that out the hard way. So I'm going to take this HandHeld, and for jars, this is really convenient. Sometimes that peels off, but you just put it right back in there. And that is ready to go back in the cabinet. I will shake it up. Let all that sugar, it's still good and sealed. And it'll be ready for next time. Okay, so it's been 12 minutes. I'm going to pull these out and get them on our cooling rack. As you can see, they do spread a good bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and scoop them up. They're still pretty soft, but they're brown around the edges, and I'm going to let them cool. We're supposed to let them cool completely. Cannot wait to try one. These are now officially my favorite sugar cookie, and I will forevermore use vanilla sugar in recipes like this. I really hope you give this recipe a try. They are super delicious and so pretty. That sugar gives it a nice little crunch. It's just so good. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I really hope to see you soon.